All right, we're here with Valiant Player, and we got a special guest. This is the first time we've had a professional athlete, a Furman alum, professional tennis player, Katarina Kozarov. So thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
And so I know you wanted to do an interview. You're here seeing your friends, but let everybody know, what was the real reason to be back at Furman?
To get that ring.
They got the ring. So I interview, really experienced professional athletes. You could go on forever about their accomplishments, but I think a couple I want to touch on. We had talked earlier. You were the first big recruit, first recruit for Adam, and 3-time SoCon Player of the Year, All-American player. But one of the things I found interesting is that you were, as high level as you were still voted Most Improved Senior, which is pretty interesting. So let's talk about what went into that a little bit.
I went a lot. So my freshman year, I was 4. I started playing 3, and I was coach's first recruit. And I started struggling with injuries. I was been injury prone and started getting adapted to team. I'm the only child. I used to sharing everything. I was struggling to just adjust to everything, and it was honestly the physical was the biggest part. So coming from IMG, you think we were pushed, but me being injury prone, I was never really pushed. So I was playing 4. Did really well in conference, but other matches, I guess, didn't really perform to the level I thought I should. But then that summer, I came back and started working with Coach Adam one-on-one and with some of the other girls that were here. And then ever since then, I really do think that successful player obviously has a whole team behind him, and I was grateful to have my teammates and coaches to support him in every way. And he just found buttons that he could push and get me to get better. So, which a lot of things have changed, obviously, on and off the court I grew. And on court especially, just kind of laying back and relaxing, Coach Adam take over and listening, but at the same time being like, no, I'm going to step up. There's always more that I can do. But at the same time embracing, like, yes, I've come a long way.
And so, explain a little bit what IMG is like. So you got an interesting story. You come to America from Serbia. Did your family come over with you?
No, so only my dad. My mom, being a doctor, she couldn't leave her patients, so we have a private clinic back home that she was running. And my dad was also in the business, but I was an only child. They didn't want me to. Like, the whole point of letting me go out of the house so young is that you have all these opportunities in the world that we want you to go out and chase. So we don't want you to feel like you're homesick, that this is something you're missing at home. So my dad managed to move his business online, or that business side of the clinic, and he works from Florida, so he was there the whole time with me. And my mom was just kind of coming in and out and coming and going.
Geez.
And
yeah,
so
it's a lot of sacrifice for your family to adjust.
For sure, it's incredible, and I'm always going to be forever grateful.
So when you go to IMG, that you're kind of a prodigy. There's a lot of big expectations already,
Right.
And now we'll fast forward a little bit. So now you got to make a decision, really, college or pro, right? I mean, if you're going to try the pros at that age or college. So talk a little bit about your experience with recruiting and why Furman, how Furman came out ahead, and how that went.
So everybody thinks you're a prodigy going to IMG, but I was just a chubby girl with a big dream. Really, I tried a lot of things growing up. I was more like piano, English, French lessons, not a kind of sports girl. Like, tennis is the only thing I've done. And I've been pushed, but obviously not enough. So they've said, I think they were talking, this is when I was 12, and one of the great parenthood methods that they taught me is they let their kid be responsible. And when I was 12, my mom sat me down and she said, what would you like to do? I said, I really like tennis. She said, you do? And she said, okay, I'll send you to academy in the US to see what really hard work is like. And I love it. My first week, I'm like, I love this atmosphere. It's so ambitious, pushing and loving each other. And just like thriving in this hard working environment together. And like, you're just getting better in every way possible.
Okay, so now, tennis, very individual sport, but you've got to be part of the team. So you see the facilities, you're comfortable with the coach, you meet your teammates, and now you've got to process your decision. So was there anyone else that was kind of in the running at that time, or does Furman run away with it at that point?
Well, there's actually a lot of schools in front of Furman, and then once I came to campus, once I met the coaches, once I saw the team and the facilities and just this community that I just felt like home, that everyone went out of the race, and then Furman was it. I literally had the next day I called my mom.
So one of the things we talked about a little bit too is aside from tennis. So you come in 5 years ago, then you leave. What transpired with you personally in 5 years? Are you the same person?
No.
you were freshman year?
No, so different in many ways. Especially a lot of lessons you learn along as a team, right? So you're trying to be a leader, and not even just a leader. I think everybody can lead in their own way, right? You lead by example, don't just lead by actions. But I think as years went on, as our culture changed for the better, I think a lot of girls found their roles and found that love and appreciation for each other, respect, but along with a lot of competitiveness that kept us going and made us have the best year last year.
But like I said, I see, you know, your team was always a great team. You're always a lot of fun to come up with Valiant Player. So when we go up with Valiant Player, I conduct the visits. I take groups from room to room, and I introduce the teams. And sometimes early on, we don't get a room that we'll want to visit. So I remember we went along the first wall and we didn't get anyone. You know, sometimes kids are sleeping or the doctor's in there. And so we're kind of getting anxious about, we want to get a visit in. And so I go in the room, I say, we got the tennis team out here, you know, find out a little bit about the kid. And I come out and I say, all right, I can't remember the kid's name. It's like, this is Billy, and he likes, you know, he likes baseball and he likes drawing or something. And you guys were so ready to go, you were like chomping at the bit, that you all went in the door at the same time. Do you remember this or no? And you all wedged in there. It was like a sitcom, and you're all stuck in the doorway trying to get in. And finally you kind of pop through in there, and I hear you say, I'm KK, so you know, and everything. I was like,
we're good to get them wrong.
Okay. That was like my funniest memory of you guys. I mean, the visits were great, but I remember thinking, this is like some goofy sitcom. You're all wedged in the door going,
so
but it kind of shows, you know, your enthusiasm for the visits, and I know you enjoyed them. So talk a little bit about what you took away from those, and then maybe relate a little bit to what we were talking about earlier about you never know what's going on in people's lives, right?
For sure. That's definitely something I've learned, and I used to talk to my girls a lot about that, and I'm still in touch with a lot of my old teammates, and they call me anytime they struggle with something. We talked about that responsibility, holding each other accountable, but at the same time making sure your friends or your teammates are okay, right? You see them struggle, because we get so caught up as student athletes. We have so little time for anything other than our activities, right? Or sport or school and studying, and always lacking in sleep and always stressed out that we forget to stop. And it's just a reminder, especially as we get older, so many things personal in life. And I just think my why has always been my family and the purpose and drive. So my mom unfortunately has struggled with some health issues, which called me to struggle, and luckily I have people close to me that understand how important that is, and that have been there for me and calling me and appreciating it. And I just think seeing those kids every time I come to see them, in one hand, like seeing them smile, I appreciate it, because it makes their day, and therefore it makes my day, because it just reminds you that health is the most important thing in family, and that love, that there's just nothing that can replace that. And a lot of things that of course happen on court, like we get so caught up, and I myself personally, now it being my career, you want that win or you want that title or whatever it is, you get so caught up in that in the end of the day, none of that really matters as much as your health and just everything else.
So good experience at Furman. You're now a pro player. You've taken all these experiences with you to travel, and how do you see the future right now?
Like we just talked about, like professional tennis was long term, and not being short term, and realizing there's a long life far beyond tennis that I need to think about and focus on. But it also makes you think, like, okay, this is also my job that I love, and it's the most important thing, that you love what you do, right? But it's like, no, like I have to focus on my relationships with my family and all this other things that's gonna help you stay healthy mentally and physically. And I think one of the things I've learned the past few months is that I know we were always grateful and lucky here, but it really, the relationship we made here at college and with our friends, with our mentors, with coaches, or whoever it is, you cannot compare them to anything else. At the end of the day, those few people are the crucial part, and who are gonna help you stay stable and help you keep believing in you and help you pursue further.
I think your point is great, that you've taken away some good lessons from your experience at Furman. I know everyone's excited that you're back on campus. I mean, everyone, everyone was really happy to see you back and at the ceremony and everything. So as we wrap up, any words of encouragement for the kids up at the hospital?
I think just enjoy the little things. All of us are way stronger than we know we are, and we can overcome. He said, no matter what happens, you will survive and you will overcome this. You've got this. He said, after every night comes the morning, and there's always better sides of it, and trying to look at the glass half full, because life is beautiful, but it's also delicate, and trying to enjoy it the best you can.
Well said. And that, you know, one of the things we talk about too is that we get more from these visits than we give. I think we give a lot, but you know, everyone feels so great, and so many families stay in touch, and they love the athletes and they love the visits. And you know, like I always say, when you're in town, we can't go up because of COVID right now, but when you're back in town, we'll get the tennis girls together and visit again. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having
It's so
me.
good to see you, and we'll follow you on the tour and cheer for you. All right, that's it from Valiant Player.